paparazzi. I don't even know how bad it could get. How very talking in front of a legal panel for a bill that has just passed, a privacy bill in California, and it's very enlightening. It turns paparazzi from these men, you know, they're just photographers, into savage animals, you know, like wolves, just slathering over the potential for these wonderful photos they could get. I think one of her examples was like 50 of them at one time crowding round her and her family as they go through the airport. She's got a young daughter who feels harassed when she goes to school. She doesn't even want to go to school. For example, Hauke was in the playground. Paparazzi jump out from bushes in the street, you know, around the corners of buildings. It's like a game of Where's Wally? Except she's Wally and the photographers are the hunters, and you know, they're just looking for her. Where is she? Where's the best, you know, who can get the best photos? Like a competition, and the better the photos they get, the more money they can make. They don't care how much distress it's causing to her. And Hal's daughter's 5. She's just a baby, and she's already so distressed about these paparazzi photographers. She cries every day. She has a hard time getting to sleep, and her poor old mum, Hal Berry, has to try and explain to her about the paparazzi and why they do what they do, when she doesn't even understand why they can be so bad as they can be. I had no idea. It's horrifying. The things that these celebrities go through. I guess their detractors would just say, oh, it's part of fame, you've got to deal with it. It sounds really traumatic, and people are happy to brush it off because they don't know about it, they don't care, it's not a big problem for them. I suddenly feel a whole lot of sympathy for celebrities if that's what they go through, like, all the time. I mean, especially the ones that have kids. I personally have never seen a photograph of Hal's youngster. Perhaps that's just because I don't live in like California or anything like that, but it's just what they go through. It sounds savage. These photographers are got to make a living, but now this privacy bill has passed. So I guess that has implications in journalism in general, because it's in California. You know, that's a lot that goes on in California. That's where Hollywood is. That's where lots of, you know, celebrities live. So, and news reporting in general in California, if people aren't allowed to take photographs of celebrities' youngsters without consent. I think that was the crutch of the bill, the bit I picked up on anyway. Excuse me. That yeah, people are worried that has implications now for journalism. Like in California, are people going to the members of the public, you know, private individual people, like I suppose you could say like me or you, with their mobile phones, you know, everything is a camera now. It doesn't have to look like, you know, the cameras with the big lens and the flash. Are they going to start getting prosecuted for taking photos? Whether they're actually, you know, going out like the paparazzi and deliberately trying to take photos of these famous people's youngsters, or you know, doing it in general, and someone takes a disliking to it, and you know, they start going somewhere with it. Perhaps we're jumping the gun a bit. The point was, I never realised how bad it was. I feel a whole lot of sympathy for celebrities if they go through that all the time. Everywhere, I mean, I know that everywhere they go sometimes, you know, it depends how famous, what level of fame you're on, perhaps. Photographers, paparazzi, you know, you're famous, you're news, especially if there's something going on in your personal life which is newsworthy, like the footballers' sex scandals, we use that as an example here in Britain. That sort of stuff was going on. These footballers are even more newsworthy than normal, so they probably have like crowds of paparazzi following them around, waiting outside their house, outside their football ground, that sort of thing. And I don't know how many there is, but you know, you can imagine it going on house stories of like 50 of them or something, all crowded around, like, who can get the best photo? You know, and they've got to deal with that. But if it's a sex scandal because they've cheated on their wife with some slut or something like that, then shame on them, but there's still a certain level of sympathy for all this craziness. And I try not to have a negative view on people generally. Paparazzi, I look at them sort of middly, they're just trying to do their job. But if this is the middle ground, how you feel about people, and this is good and this is bad. They were already a little bit in the bad area because they were a major contributing factor in the death of Princess Diana. So they're already, you know, kind of pretty bad people in most people's books, I guess. But this just takes them to a whole other new level down here. This new knowledge about how bad they can be. I mean, she's only talking America, and that's where Hellberry lives, but she probably goes all over the world and that sort of thing. And it's perhaps as bad everywhere. It's just unbelievable. They're men, they're doing the job, but how can they let their behaviour get like that in the pursuit of a photograph? I know photographs is money to them. Every photograph could be like £1,000 or more or less. I don't know. It's just there's certain lengths that you have to be willing to go to get that photograph, whatever it may be, even if it's nothing. Use Hal example again. A photograph of her 5-year-old kid. I don't know what's that's worth to them, but it's quite as newsworthy as you would imagine, surely. Well, they can sell it to a gossip magazine. Woo, right. That's really worth traumatising that poor little kid, isn't it? She's only 5, for God's sake. That's so scandalous. I can't even believe it. I had no idea what they went through. They should talk about this publicly more often, because I'm sure people would be interested. I mean, I'm horrified. And, you know, I think that is how, if they really want to get on top of this problem, they should talk about it publicly more often. Every time they go through a really bad experience with, perhaps it's like that every day for quite a lot of celebrities. Perhaps some of them don't get it so bad, but when it is bad for them, they should make it public and let people know, because people will be interested and horrified, and to a certain level, I would say it's newsworthy. It's just really, it's horrifying. You'd hope they would have learnt something from what happened to Princess Diana. I know that was years ago, but it was still a terrible thing. And the paparazzi were, like, the most contributing factor in her death. I think the reason the driver was going so fast is because they were being pursued by these crazy paparazzi. It's like they'd lost their minds. Like, look, there she is, you know, like, she's the most wanted person in the world. We must get a photograph of her because, you know, it's life or death. And then suddenly it was life or death because they were going so fast into that tunnel, he lost control and crashed. I know there were other factors. The paparazzi was the reason they were going so fast, because they were trying to escape. And they should be ashamed of themselves. I hope they were. And I guess that has been kind of forgotten now. Enough years have passed that nobody really thinks about that much anymore. So the paparazzi can just go on doing what they do, the way they do it. And why worry, you know? Well, it's not like somebody could die, is it? Hopefully it never gets that serious again, but you'd hope it would make them think twice. I mean, there's a difference between that and taking a photograph of some poor little 5-year-old kid in a playground just because it's just some famous as child. You know, there's not there's so many ways that could be a life or death situation compared to Princess Diana, which is still, they should be ashamed of themselves. So, thank you for watching. If you have an opinion about this, please leave a comment in the section below, and I'll see you later.